Roll call, everybody here? Who are we missing? Not everybody, huh? Right? Yes. I think so. Fabulous. All right, would look for a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Poppy, second by Baker. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion was look for a motion to approve the August 5th, 2024 minutes. Supervisor Romden, second by Supervisor Lazansky. Any discussion of those minutes or corrections? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Then we come to number 5 on the agenda. Consider 2025 cost of living adjustments. And I'm assuming that the administrator is going to want to comment on that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So if everyone would take a look at the 3 sheets that were on your in front of your place tonight. I'm gonna start on the second sheet where there has a CPI adjustment in the upper left corner. And I apologize for the small print. We're trying to get a lot of information on the page. Yeah. So I'll give everybody a second to get there. As I kind of briefed the committee about last month as we were preliminary, we were working on putting together a budget with a 3% COLA adjustment and allowing steps for people who aren't already at the top of the plan. That was based on a combination of information from the CPIU for the Midwest, so the Consumer Price Index. And then data that's put out by the Wisconsin Employment Relations Commission, the WRC. Those, as you see on the tables, the lowest numbers are the most recent available data, and those come in at 2.4, 2.7, and 3.3. So either way, give or take less than 0.5% of 3% on either side. Then if you look at the 5 or 10 year averages for all of those different measures, they end up over the course of time, all of those measures are relatively accurate, and they all end up within about 0.2% or 0.2% of each other. So we figured logically by going down the middle of the indicators that we'd be pretty close to what the economy has done recently and is expected to do over the next year. So we'd be recommending a 3% COLA for that. I know some of the consulting with Paul prior to the meeting, so he gave me some history about some of the things that he's been curious about in past years. So you know, he basically is the COLA affordable and cost effective? Yes, it already is built into the administrator's budget that you'll see officially next week. And there's a sound budget in place that would account for these increases being proposed. And then as far as sustainability, we believe that it's very much sustainable. When we get into some of the factors, new construction grew significantly this year, faster rate than any other year in the past several since before the pandemic. Our final audited returns have shown the county in the black for each of the last 7 years, and we don't anticipate any change from that. So it is a sustainable proposal that we think is on real solid ground. If we wanted, and this is even maybe smaller numbers, but flipping back to the front of your packet, a couple of the numbers to highlight. In that top group where it says employees, you see that the headcount is virtually unchanged year over year. But one thing that has changed is last year there were 68 employees at or above the top of the pay range. This year, 54. So what that means is a lot of more senior staff have turned over and aren't with us anymore. A lot of that's been through retirements and things that we've been talking about regularly since I joined the team here. So if there were no COLA, just on the basis of that turnover of senior staff and then rehiring people lower in the range, there'd be a net savings of $35,000 simply from replacing senior staff with junior staff. That's all in that proposed 2025 column. We're back on the first page.
No, I have all that. Yeah, I just had a question on the FTEs.
Please.
So on, if you go back to 2020, we have 146.84.
Yep.
And then 2025, we have 151.48
Correct.
FTEs. The reason I bring that up, and I used to bring this up all the time when we were, moving more rapidly on the jail, the FTEs were supposed to be going down. Remember this conversation, anybody besides me, that we were going to find, we were,
6 or 8.
not just my memory, yeah. Is there a reason why the FTEs are actually, rather than going down, they're going up?
So with the 4 budgeted additional jailers that aren't filled right now,
Okay,
that would be the large majority of that change.
okay, so those are the FTEs. We were supposed to be reducing those FTEs in order to find the 4 positions, and those are in here.
They are budgeted. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
well, that makes sense.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Anytime. Yeah, I'm happy to be able to.
I hate to be the only one that keeps harping on that, but it's a really important thing if we were, going to be going ahead. So go ahead, sorry.
Yep, no, that's great. Good question. So then, I guess the next thing I would highlight further down that column, right above the 2 cells that say you can't divide by 0 in Excel, kind of second group under all wages and benefits. The total payroll change proposed year over year would be a 2.48, just short of 2.5% increase. That includes benefits and salary and wages. So again, just kind of speaking to the sustainability and long-term affordability. You see in the next group that we are proposing the 3.0, as I had talked about. And then I guess the only other thing that I wanted to highlight, and you'll get more information about this with the whole budget, but that left-hand proposed 2025 column, the second number from the bottom, where that's the levy change row, and the net levy going up by 1.16%, and the tax rate going down for year over year. So again, just speaking to the sustainability of the proposal.
Good. This is well laid out. So the non-accountants can follow it and understand. I appreciate that.
Thanks. That's the coming together of Paul and I. You do accounting, and I try to approach it as an informed non-accountant.
Any questions for Jeremy on this?
No construction, is that towns or is that towns, villages and cities?
It's everything within our borders. Yep.
So all of our ARPA money is used up.
Yep, it would be required to be used up. Without looking at the actual accounting, I can't say that it is right now, but there's no capacity to add any more for this year.
Any other questions for the administrator on this?
How many more years do we have that 500,000 coming from in for the platform?
I want to say we're three
Reminding things,
more
it's 2.
years.
2. I think
2
Paul
more.
said it was 2 at finance.
That would sound about right.
Yep. 2 to 3, and that's available for economic. That's the one you see.
But by the time that runs out, I mean, we'll be okay. I think, if we watch our spending, we will hope yes. We continue to be prudent in budgeting, it should be okay. Other questions for the administrator? Okay, so what do you need? You need action on this tonight?
Yes, I'd appreciate that if the committee could make a motion in support of the 3% COLA.
Is there a motion?
Establish the 3% COLA for this.
Okay, Supervisor Baker, second by Supervisor Romden. Is there further discussion?
At 3%, that's just cost of living,
Yes, they get their steps.
nothing else.
So what's in the budget with the documents we just looked at is the cost of living at 3% to the pay plan. And then also the step advancement for anyone who's not already at the top of the scale.
So just out of curiosity then, what is the average full-time employee? What are they going to see for an increase?
So there's a bit of information about that. If we go back on that front page. It's in the top section where it says employees. And under the FTEs covered by the pay plan, we see where they land. Since 54% are already at the top and won't be getting a step, or I'm sorry, 54 FTEs of the 125. The total average across all employees is 0.74%. So some will, the top of the range people, the more senior people will only receive the COLA. And the people who are still in the range would get the 2% COLA plus. If they're at the lower end of the range, the steps are 1.5%, so they would get 4.5. If they're, once you cross the middle of the pay plan, you get 1% per step. So those people would be at 4.
So majority of the full times, I mean, if we exclude the most senior who are going to get 3% or at the top of the steps, most of them are going to get 4.5% increase.
Yes, that's correct.
But the ones that are at the top of the pay scale, at the end of that pay plan, will get the 3, just the 3.
Yes.
Correct.
Just want to make sure.
Yes, so was there further discussion on that motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
I'm sure that the union rep will read through these minutes prior to.
Amen. Thank you. The next thing, oh, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Yes, the highway department positions and compensation. I'm assuming you want to comment on that, or does Mr. Trumbull?
I can just briefly introduce it. Marty's very familiar with this plan. He's the person who gets the credit and or the land for it. So one thing that the county has wrestled with for quite a while is a wide variety of premium and specialty pay amongst different highway department staff. It really complicates payroll. It makes it, for instance, for people who aren't familiar, salary rate might change depending on which machine a person's operating. If you operate different machines during the day, you have several different pay codes that you need to put in during the day. All of those things are really unnecessarily complex, make it difficult and time consuming to ensure payroll is accurate. And it's so kind of complex and antiquated that it's not conducive to using an electronic system. So payroll is largely on paper in the highway department still. So Marty has come up with a plan that was presented to really greatly simplify that, creating a couple of categories of workers. And I think beyond that, I'm just gonna turn it over to Marty to present and if you have any questions that the committee might have, because he's the real expert on the plan.
So, before so he has a step chart there right now, and you'll see highway worker 1, 2. That's small. We had 3 bands of highway worker. They were all dependent on when you got hired in the highway shop. So there was different union negotiated rates for 3 different workers, and then within those tiers, you had 18 different pay types for those workers potentially on what they were doing. So convoluted is mildly put on it.
Just simplifies it.
This simplifies it, and also brings the base scale in line with what the other counties are paying. So right now, Door and Brown are both above $25 an hour starting. I'm still starting at 22 on the lower end of the scale, and we're getting up a little bit above that upper end for the highway 3. Most of our workers are going to be in that mid-range based on experience and where they would be. So we would limit the number to 4 or 5 at the top. Those would be essentially work leaders or task force. So for every 3 to 4 highway workers, we have 1 work leader. And we structured it such that if the pay increase went through, it would cancel the COLA, so it saves us a bunch of money in COLA payments, which offsets the pay increases. We also looked at it really hard and made sure that we, like I said, we were in line with the other counties, that was kosher. And then look for offsets within the budget. So There's a lot of different things we can do within the budget for highway because we generate our own, right? So, I looked hard at that baseline. I think it came out to my total budget. It was 0.2% of an increase to get to pay raises and the restructure. And it evens out the pay, which the guys greatly appreciate. They don't have this giant dip depending on what type of work they're doing throughout the seasons.
I assume that this is coming with a recommendation from the committee.
We've done that.
Yes.
This plan started with Todd Elfie. And when he decided to leave the county, and it's been gone through committee for, I'm gonna say 6 to 8 months, and I hope I'm not exaggerating, but I know it's gone through committee for a long time. We sat down with management, the committee did, and worked through the complete plan, step by step, and when Marty got here, we just kept on rolling with this, so everything that we did as a committee was involved with this change to the pay plan, and we know that it's hard to get qualified people to, drive the equipment and big equipment, so. Expensive. And expensive equipment, and so that's the reason we're asking for this change.
The only other thing that I would add is that, having a stronger base salary does also help us with what we're putting out publicly when we are advertising for positions. Because we can't promise someone a lot of premiums that they might well earn. So another advantage of senior housing for the salaries.
It's a streamlined things, but they're convoluted and nonsensical. Look, I don't know how they manage to pay anybody in that department. Supervisor Baker.
Yeah, is there, can you explain now what the net increase in pay is again? You said it was 0.2% as a result of this?
0.2% of my total budget, so, with the offsets that I've worked into the budget for this year, I think it works out to about $12,000 total expenditure. To fix the pay grade. And then also the other advantage of this is it brings everybody into the pay steps. So right now, the majority of my workforce isn't even from the steps of my current pay system because they come in at different times. And they have so many different rates. The adjustments here will bring everybody within step, almost 100%. I think there's 1 or 2 that are outside of step because of really senior or they transfer.
I don't know if people understand, but a highly employee in one day could have 12 different pays. Whatever they're doing, we should have, and to keep track of that.
It's been going on like that.
Oh, it's been forever. It's been forever, and
We should have,
you work the winter, it's a premium pay. If you come in early, it's a pay for this. It's all just changes and pay changes, and just for the employee to figure out his time card at the end of the day.
we should have had a motion before we started. So far, you want to make the motion. So
I can make the motion to.
I have a motion. Is there a second? Supervisor Woods. Okay, now you can go on. Sorry. Well, my bad. I should have asked.
So, we want to get rid of and trying to get the office to be able to do a decent time card and even with a fuel system to get everything on electronic, it's almost impossible. So.
Wasting a lot of people's time.
Oh, that's it.
I think we discussed this at committee, but there was a few hires in the last 2 years that are them gonna be brought up to the 25,
Yeah, so
even though they're working already?
so they're working already. We would start them in on the base of where they got reassigned, right? So as the pay scale adjusts, they would insert into the pay scale very, at their years and experience level. Some of those new hires who are getting paid way low as compared to their counterparts in other counties and will probably leave soon if we don't do something about it, will get a pretty significant pay. The guys at the top that have been here for a while are gonna get a very small pay bump. So it is more of a bottom tier adjustment than it is the top tier.
How many employees per category?
So you have to figure out the final on that. I have 4 or 5 projected for the category 3. Most of my workers, like I said, 80 to 90% would be in that category 2 range. And then there'll be 3 or 4 probably in that 1. And the 1 range is really an introductory range, right? So that's me being able to recruit a high school kid right out of high school that doesn't have a CDL, isn't qualified, but I can get him through training. I can onboard them, I can pay them a decent rate, train them up, and hopefully keep them on staff to get them to that 2. The 2 is my qualified highway. That's the majority of. That's it.
And off the top of your head of that $12,000 you're roughly talking about, how much would that be reimbursable from the state or local municipalities or?
So we. I get about $600 back from the state. So not very much. But like, for example, this year I've worked to deal with the County Road C project to get millings and stuff. To come here to see at various levels. That was $16,000 and I brought in just for that one negotiation. And all this comes out of my bottom line essentially, because we're a fee for service organization. So there really is no impact to the general fund or any of the tax base, like it all comes out of my way. So I have to absorb it in other areas, buy less equipment this year, or I'll have to increase my revenue sources. to cover it up. But like I said, of my overall budget, this is 0.2% of that total budget, so it sounds like a big number when I say 12,000. It's very much smaller than that. How many dollars?
I do want to comment on one thing in your. Just. Qualifications on your. Writing here, it says, use tact and courtesy in dealing with other employees, county officials, taxpayers, and other county and outside agencies. I think that was, I like that.
Or customer service space. Pay for money organization. Dealing with our customers.
Other questions? Further discussion? All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Right.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to consider land and water conservation department positions and compensation. Let me give you a brief synopsis before we request a motion.
Yes, sir. Just even before we get into anything about the proposal itself, I will say that I did hear from a couple of different supervisors on this about the fact that it did not go through the home committee first. And that's ultimately on me. I apologize. I was drawing from the policy manual that lays out step by step. It says when the administrator makes a recommendation, the administrator makes that recommendation to the executive committee. In hearing that that's, kind of surprised a couple of different supervisors. I already have drafted proposed amendments to the policy that I'll bring to this committee next month to prevent that from happening in the future and make sure that we can always go through home committee. So with that being said, what you have before you is a proposal to small size reorganization of the land and water department. It would essentially use the current vacancy and changing the structure of that vacancy as well as 3 existing positions to take the vacancy from one of the higher paid roles to one of the lower paid roles and use some of that offset to give raises for the senior seasoned staff who are at risk of potentially leaving us for greener pastures. So that being said, Mr. Chair.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
There's a second to the motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Ron will seconds.
I just want to add that in 2018, Land and Water Department took on the extra role. Zoning department. There were 2 people in the zoning department that essentially retired or left, I believe. At that time, we were at 7 staff in our department. And then we were down to 5. We were told not to fill those positions at that time with the new jail coming. I did have a conversation with Davina and Paul and Travis in the office. And they are comfortable with the workload, with not adding, with since those 2 positions left. But I think taking on that extra work of that whole department, the zoning department, if we look at surrounding counties around here, every one of them have, I believe, 7 to 8 people in their land conservation department, plus they have a separate zoning department. So I think just giving them this bump in pay helps that basically are running 2 departments there. So at this time, we're going to talk about it at the committee about job descriptions and changing that stuff. But at this time, I would like to see the raise go through the budget. We'll discuss if we want to change job descriptions for these specialists, within committee in the future.
Supervisor Poppy, you've been on this board a lot longer than me. Have you ever seen a proposal of this nature come forward without going through its home committee?
I guess my question is, who does the job description? Who's in charge of doing it? Is that the administrator?
So collaborative between the administrator and the department.
No, I have not. I think every time somebody has come in here for a possible change in pay, it's been, like I said, gone through committee. Second of all, it's been worked with the committee and brought through the administrator. This is just different than I want.
Other questions?
Can I ask if Davina has any input if she wants to put it in?
Sure.
So, yeah, and I apologize too. I've never done a reclass or a reword. So we lost Andrew and I was trying to just make our office more efficient and effective. We had one person doing, floodplain and one person doing shoreland. We had 2 people doing sanitary. So it was just kind of my way of trying to get it a little bit more streamlined with who we have. When I did run the numbers, and I apologize, it didn't go through committee, I was talking with Aaron during that time. Again, I was following the policy, so I apologize on that. We did talk to staff, and actually with the proposed raise without the COLA, they said they would forego the COLA. It's actually a net savings of $996 because we'd be hiring the new position as a lower paid. They would come in as a con specialist 1 instead of what Andrew was, and he was in the middle of the, and I have it here, I did print it off, if you recall, it's got it right there. So if you look at bumping up my staff so that they hopefully don't leave, and it would actually be a net savings, because they said that they would go past their and forgive their COLA, so it'd be a net savings of $996 with the new hire being a con specialist. We like to get them right out of college and then train them to do more of the rounded position that we do at the office.
Recruit that person?
We haven't had problems in the past. By having this new step program of con specialist 1, 2, and 3, it's structured like more of the other counties where you bump them up.
Other questions? Supervisor Teske.
I would like to see in your job descriptions what I was telling, Marty about that use tax and with.
And those are gonna go back to committee.
Okay, that's just one.
Like I said, I do apologize on.
So we're voting on something that we don't know exactly what we're voting on. If it's gonna change at committee level again.
Oh, and one other thing. I know that's in here now, degrees and experience. Is there something in there, you can say that will train also?
We do the training in-house, and then the training is also done, through free trainings to the fence and that's fine.
So I mean, does that have to be in the job description as well?
It is in the con specialist.
So if you hire a contact 1, are they gonna be able to do the duties that Andrew Wick did?
So right now, Paul does all of our technical. He does most of our sanitary, and then he did a little zoning. So Andrew on the flip side did the rest of the sanitary, the rest of the zoning, plus non-metallic mining and all these other programs that he was doing on that side. So I would like to move Paul away from the technical stuff and just do all sanitary, all zoning. So that is just one person with one. I mean, we can all fill in when he's not here, but having them call Paul and then Andrew, it was very dismantled. So yeah, so hiring the con specialist one to come in to do more of that technical, based work as more of a conservation specialist is a better way.
And didn't Wick do the shoreline zoning when they had meetings?
Yes, so Paul's actually taking that over now with Andrew gone, so he likes what he's doing and he's gonna keep.
I guess with talking with Davina, we started talking about this and I would say May. And I asked her to bring in at budget time. To bring, for the raises for the employees. I felt this was the time of year that this should be done is at budget time. Other than outside. So that's what I brought to us now.
Other questions?
Yeah, portable axle scales.
We do, yes. One of the smaller guys actually, weigh their manure manure spreaders on them. They're very good.
We've had this before where some of these positions were reclassified and then they came back and said they can't do it. We need to have the higher. And so I guess the person that left is going to be the straight.
Yes, and his job title was a conservation specialist one.
Yeah, that was approved.
Yes.
Okay, I can remember that. Sure.
A month ago, I'm sorry.
What did you do?
Filling.
Oh, yeah, I think it was
Bring
on,
this one to the department back.
Yes, it was approved, I believe, last month. Right now, on the personnel report for this month, it's listed as on hold because this discussion needed to happen before we know exactly what position we're recruiting for.
So no matter what happens now, it's still, there's this hire still gonna happen. Right. Right.
Correct. Yes.
Other questions? In favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
the,
Motion fails. All right, moving on. Consider corporation council department position compensation.
So last one for this evening of these, this is largely based on, having a combination shared victim witness coordinator and confidential secretary. To corporation council, when looking at the victim witness roles, especially compared with other counties, as well as some of the legal support. That's done by the person in the role currently, that's elsewhere done by paralegals and other people with advanced certifications. I call the committee's attention to the highlighted sections on the back where it says victim witness coordinator position. We see that combination of surrounding counties as well as counties with similar judges and prosecutors. It should have been it was in the packet that I emailed out to folks. No,
Yeah, it was. It was the special stuff. It was not gonna.
yes, I sent it, I think last Thursday. Okay,
You can put it up there on some screen, everybody can see it.
it may not be in those things that much that can.
And it was a necessity.
Yeah, so it's not here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you could, Dave, that would be awesome, thank you. So I guess Dave's gonna get this to you on paper and we can have a more robust discussion. I get that far, but in comparing, we looked at neighboring counties um, and we did a cost comparison of what other counties are paying for similar work that this position's doing. And I guess at that point would be a good time for me to pause and allow the chair to consider a motion.
All right, do we have a motion? That's what we're trying to bring up here.
This is item number 8, the corporation council department position and compensation.
So is it the bump that is not 15?
So, yeah, so the,
You don't have any.
I'm sorry, I emailed it on Thursday separate from the rest of the packet.
Looked at the agenda stuff. I'll get a copy of it.
My apologies.
I'm not opposed to
David
taking
Ross.
this on. If the committee is okay, it's obvious that there's committee members that haven't gotten this information. If the information is straightforward, we can get it accessed here somehow. I'm not opposed to continuing with this, but if we can't get the info, is it possible to perhaps, I mean, we can take a short recess here to get copies made, and then the committee would be able to consider them. But if we can't get the information from all the committee members, I'm not comfortable asking people to vote on something.
Basically, what we're asking, what's the position, what's the compensation? Oh, so I need.
So the position is 3/4 victim witness coordinator. And we're also getting the copies on the training. I apologize. But the 3/4 victim witness coordinator working in conjunction with the district attorney. And the remaining 10 hours as confidential secretary to the corporation council. So as I mentioned, we comparing with neighboring counties, victim witness coordinators as well as victim witness coordinators of counties that have similar number of judges and district attorneys, prosecutors that we have. We did find that the wage was considerably less. So we're bringing forward a proposal to move it towards the average of those comparison counties, but not. And I apologize. We can take a short recess if you'd like, Mr. Chair.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, till we get the information in front of the committee members, I don't think that the committee members really want to. I don't think they want to vote on something. They don't know what they're voting on. So we could take a. We'll just sit here and discuss.
Tell us about what the county did when storm hit Kewaunee.
We can talk about that so long as no business is done around it. Yeah, we were really busy because totally unexpected, and it was a severe thunderstorm. Warning was announced, but it ended up being very severe and causing a bit of a scramble as we looked at kind of losing power to 2 buildings and learning about under which conditions the generators kick on appropriately and when they don't. Because we actually didn't have the generator automatically come on in this building as you expect. Because I guess the power flickered several times first, and it basically fooled the generator into thinking there was something other than a hard outage that it needed to turn on. So for whatever reason, and I don't, I'm not super familiar with the systems, but for whatever reason, Greg and Noel did scramble and get out here as quick as they could to get power restored to this building, and then we had to evaluate whether or not we could be effective without computer systems and the safety of everybody and the desire to keep the public away from downtown Kewaunee that day, so for their own safety and safety of the responders. So
If the committee members would like, I do have the victim witness coordinator and confidential secretary to corporation council compensation adjustment proposal. I can read that. Well, the hard copy if you would like. Or if you just want to wait for the hard copy and not listen to.
Shouldn't take too long to make the copy.
Good.
Stuff like.
Was that a little bit at the school?
No, not at all. The electricity flashed. Sometimes not enough to knock my computer off.
Was there any damage?
Computer didn't. And
At the administration though?
I don't think there's any damage to our building itself that I know about right now. Tree limbs down, and a mess. But I don't think any of our not in this building. We had a number of trees come down at different parks.
Oh, yeah, where do you say 100 and some trees? They cut? 100
These
trees.
are-
And the Anthony
Every
Trail.
block, except mine.
No, on the Anthony Trail.
Oh, that
My block,
was-
across the street from me, not right on my block. There's some flower pots tipped over.
Highway department kept the roads open.
The city of Kewaunee did a great job. It's really a very fine effort. Really good job. We had a lot of issues that the great. Overcame a lot.
Wisconsin Public Service left me a message at 8:30 that my power was restored, but it didn't come on until 2:30.
I can't control that.
No, I'm just saying that something,
Slow voltage.
Most of the roads that we didn't have cleared pre initially were. Trees.
we have.
Every place that there was trees that around.
We didn't get it. We didn't get it nearly as bad as the city of Kewaunee though.
It was south of 29.
Yeah. It almost followed between 29 and C, like straight into. Because it hit us down by the highway shop.
Because of the school. I mean, like I said, the power flashed long enough for the lights to go off, but didn't not long enough for my computer to go off, so. And it really wasn't terrible out there. But I was glad because we had to call them. Tornado, do the tornado thing. People. It's hard to investigate down on the floor in the boys' bathroom, and at that time, by that time of the day. I take my chances with the tornado. You go to the inside room, that's the way it goes.
Interesting, in this building, the winds, even though they were straight line winds, they were blowing so hard, they were sucking doors open and rain was coming in. So it was really something I've never seen before.
Yeah,
Ross is printing off a few of the supporting documents, like a certain piece. Unless you're friend in your email and you're not interested.
okay, all around, I see.
I can see them.
And as the committee considers this, both District Attorney Nazi and Court Counsel, Depo are here to, they can answer the specific duties and needs.
I'm assuming that Mr. Depo and Mr. Nazi, as you say, they have discussed this, and I'm assuming they're both strongly in support.
You bet.
Anything
Jamie's here too. I don't know if you know Jamie Young. She's a victim when she's in the corner. She's
well, if you could give us a,
Sure.
if you could give us a synopsis of this, because obviously some of the supervisors
sure.
give that, look at this.
Sure.
Far ahead is.
Sure. Jeremy, you wanna, me to go or you wanna? Well, I'll start. So I guess, I don't know exactly if you have I assume you have the same documents in front of you that I have that. So there's a pay scale, current victim witness coordinator position, maxes out at $25.89. When you compare that to the other counties, it's basically our max is the median of other counties. I think Green Lake is the county that we've always used supervisors, and I guess the county has always used in the past as kind of a county that's very similar in size and population and structure to our county, and as you can see, our maximum is in line with their median. So I think the fact that Jamie's obviously worked in the county for 18 years, and it's not just, obviously she's a great employee, she's is someone who goes above and beyond her work duties. She is someone who works for Mr. Depo and myself in a very competent and professional manner. But at this point, she's maxed out on the level 15, and we're asking this committee to increase that maximum up to the 27.96.
You're looking for $2.07 an hour.
Correct.
Is next.
Correct.
So we'd be looking for a pay increase of that amount, but that's not actually what the county would be on the hook for. So the position, the 30 hours per week that is worked for the victim witness coordinator role is covered between, it's been traditionally between 47 and 62%, I believe. So the state basically picks up half the bill for those hours. So essentially, we're asking for half of that.
$1.03 you know.
Correct. So on the breakdown, let's see here. Paul was kind enough to put together this sheet for me. To help sort of explain what the financial impact or fiscal impact would be with that. So the total increase proposed would be $4,935.94. The total amount paid by the county is $3,084.96.
COLA, she doesn't.
So COLA would not, yeah, so the way we've structured it, kind of doing the same thing Marty's doing, we would ask that pay be effective on the first of the year, starting in 2025. I would not ask that COLA be included, so we would essentially save the COLA expense as well for 2025.
But she would typically get the COLA? I mean, you said she's maxed out,
Typically, she would only get.
but she would get the COLA.
Correct.
Okay, so before we go get into this too far, let's make this legal, or whatever you want to call it, and let's ask for the motions. So, motion by Supervisor Young, 2 seconds by Supervisor Augustine. All right, now you can just push it.
Well, she got the COLA, her current salary, how much of an increase would that be?
3%, so less than a buck.
It's not a real big difference, 77 cents.
No, and what we're proposing is about $3 below what the average is across counties. So we're not asking to even be on par with average, we're asking to start catching up a little bit.
How many years was it? 15 years.
Yeah, 15 years.
18. Long time to be in that position, isn't it?
I can tell you, I guess, speaking to the position and the individual in it, had this county transferred or transitioned from Jeff to myself, would still run a practice, private practice full time without Jamie in the office. I don't know how that would have gotten done. A lot of the court filings, the scheduling, all the stuff that takes place that supports my office, in addition to Mr. Nazi's office, is largely done by me. So, done by this role.
Are there questions? Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries, 1 against. You got that for the record?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. County administrators report. Personnel report, perhaps you have perused that. I think that the sheriff is being generous when he refers to staffing and says that we are walking in quicksand. I'm not so sure that he is.
If we had
He's trying to walk on water.
sunk a little bit more in the past month.
I think he's getting up to his eyeballs. Are they managing? How is recruiting going? To get back to that.
We're constantly recruiting. We've done many interviews. We actually just had one candidate who was offered a position, and initially accepted, get back to us and let us know that he declined. So that was a good hit. Several more in the pipeline at all times. Choose your descriptive analogy, walking in quicksand, walking on water. We're working on it all the time and not getting ahead. Just barely treading water.
This doesn't seem to be correcting at all.
Not yet, and, you know, not for lack of trying, and we do continue to work, as the sheriff said, in a couple of different times when he's been asked the question, recruiting to law enforcement all around has been tough. We heard that the state patrol typically generates a full class every year. This year, for the first time that anyone can recall, we generated a fraction of the class. So I don't know if this is a local issue, but it's probably an issue that's ongoing, and I think, you know, validates the board's decision to wait on constructing a larger jail that requires more staffing.
As I indicated previously, I know it's hard in a lot of places, but the village seems to be doing okay in person.
We do exit questions. Question.
I
know why.
I haven't been, for most of these roles. The majority of the folks that we've seen leaving the jail, there's been a lot of retirements. One of the people who's on this month's report, was a trainee who, after being in the role for a few months, made the decision it wasn't going to work out.
They're not commenting and it's too much being a dual role like that.
I can start to get some more information on that. I haven't so far, so that'll be some time to take.
I would think it's related more to the fact that law enforcement, I mean, you know, I was just listening a while back, talking about, the graduating classes from police academies and so forth. I think it's bad. This is all we're now feeling, you know, if you listen, if you believe the commentators that I listen to, we're now feeling the impacts of the, you know, the George Floyd aftermath. Continuing. Police, it's clearly not getting better immediately.
Correct.
No, anyway, go on, sorry.
Well, that's absolutely great. We're still working on trying to recruit jailer, and radio operators as fast and as well as we can. We did also have, a resignation in the clerk of court's office, the assistant over there, and, retirement upcoming of administrative assistant Barb Benshaw, who's been a fixture with human services for over 30 years. So, as the committee considers requests to refill positions today, there's a couple of things that I wanted to make sure are on your radar. First, I guess, maybe perhaps simplest, the recruitment at the top line under recruitment birth to 3 children's long-term support worker. Request your permission to refill that position that was created by the job change. In the middle of the page, Lindsay Jenner-John had a role in CCS program, comprehensive community supports. And with her promotion, it creates a vacancy. We're actually asking for permission to take that bachelor level social work position and assign it in different program areas. So they were working in mental health and substance abuse for comprehensive community supports. We want that position to be assigned to birth to 3 and children's long-term support. It's largely funded similar. There's slight changes with that. But it's really a different assignment of duty, but want the committee to be aware that there will be a change there. I would also ask, associated with that, we think there's going to be some internal interest in the department. So if the committee would consider approving backfilling any positions that might become open as a result of filling this position, it would save us future work, but that's the committee's discretion.
So what you're looking for is a motion to approve the open positions, including the birth to 3 children's long-term support social worker, as well as backfill any positions that would be impacted if that's filled internally.
Yes, please.
You have that for the minutes, if that's how we're gonna word it. Does anybody want to make that motion?
Which, are we doing all 4 of those? Looks like radio operators already approved.
Correct. Typically, we approve any new openings by voice vote on refilling the openings.
Which ones are we doing the top 3 then?
So tonight we need to, I'm requesting permission to refill the birth to 3 that's under recruitment, birth to 3 CLTS, to continue radio operator jailer, and to refill the clerk of court assistant. as well as the administrative assistant, but if it's all right with the committee, I'd like to handle the administrative assistant position with separate.
Where's, the corner was maybe down there.
Could you go through that one more time and,
Um,
so the committee is clear?
yes, sir.
For some reason, I printed the wrong one.
It's
Sort of back to those finance.
yeah, it's the
The back of the
packet that
here.
was with you at your.
Oh, I was taking.
Look at the back of the numbers sheets.
Yeah, it's the one with the blue. I apologize. Okay, so
Papers to me.
Howard, I know, I apologize. Hopefully this is, well, this is by far the most trees I've killed and hopefully we can keep it that way. But okay, so tonight, radio operator and jailer is kind of a separate case. But we'd be looking for permission to refill the clerk of court assistant and to refill the birth to 3 CLTS social worker, understanding that that comes from the CCS opening and to backfill any new vacancies created.
So I have a question on that, from what I heard tonight, the conservation specialist, one. It's going to be filled regardless. Is that correct or not?
We will be putting that position back in. I think the Land Conservation Committee needs to make a determination on what they're recommending that position, whether it's land, specialist one or technician, and making a recommendation on executive classification. 1.0 FTE will be refilled, but we need further guidance from that committee on what.
Thank you. So that'll be coming back in the future
I believe so.
before budget.
Potentially. Well, not before the budget is published, and like we would require a budget adjustment.
Is it in the budget or it's going to require a budget change?
It will, yeah, it will, because the budget's gonna be published starting tomorrow.
Okay, so what you're asking for here right now is clerk of court assistant. Fill. Birth to 3 children, long-term support social worker, fill. And backfill any positions that result that come as a result of that internal hire.
That's correct.
Potential internal hire.
Correct, yeah, if there's an internal hire, that element. Yep, correct.
All right,
I would make that.
he will make that motion that we fill clerk of court assistant and birth to 3 children's long-term support social worker and any other backfill positions as a result of a potential internal hire. And Supervisor Poppy seconded that, if you got all that down.
I do.
All right. Director Shortman. All right, is there further discussion on that motion? You got it written down, we're ready to go to a vote? Okay, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now you said, did you have something else on the,
I did.
okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd ask the committee to consider, with the refilling of the position that is being vacated in human services, that administrative assistant that's at the bottom of the page. Allowing refilling that position, effective December 1st for the January 3rd exit. The reason for that is that that position has been held by the incumbent for over 30 years, and I think the department has recommended to me that it'd be very necessary to have some overlap for training purposes.
What was the date you said again?
I'm asking for, yeah,
December.
1 month overlap.
Sorry, I just didn't catch that.
Yeah, December 1st for the January 3rd schedule. Retirement.
Okay. We have a motion from Supervisor Teske. We have a second by Supervisor Augustine. Is there discussion of that motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, anything else, Mr. Crawl?
Please, nothing for me.
Supervisor Romden, you had something?
Yeah, is the land and water request gonna come back to the committee after it goes through their committee?
Well, the position to be filled with, yes. Okay. All right, next meeting date would be October the 7th. Who will be absent? Are you going to be recovered?
I'll be absent.
I will be absent.
I got 3 absent. It doesn't look to me like it makes me optimistic of a forum. How about October the eighth? Go to a Tuesday again, that's gonna interfere with parks, I know.
We got it first.
Could we do 5:30 on the 14th? October 14th, 5:30?
Yeah.
When are you in the country? Is that, are you
I'm
gone?
going out in the country, yeah. I've only gone for 24 days this time.
Only 24 days. Well, I can't
Well, that's
schedule
the 30
24.
ones.
I can't go at 24 days. October 4th, would 5:30 work if we do that?
14.
Sorry, 14th
Yeah.
at 5:30. Yes, that half hour would help me immensely to be able to get to where I need to be. Okay, because Supervisor Yonke has a council meeting right after that. He's gonna be there too. All right. We got that down. All right, motion to adjourn. Supervisor Baker, second by Supervisor Coffee, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion